Hey people, you right or what? I'm Bwnci and this is Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. Let's play ball with the human engineer today because you can have a shockingly good time with him. Seriously though, no, combat drone and overload provide some wicked crowd control with all the little zapping they can do for you. The ball here can be deployed to stun all basic trooper enemies and collector captains for you every 3 seconds. So make sure you got your first 3 points in here to do that. Then, for your 4th evolution, I highly recommend you make a Voltorb out of this thing and give it Detonate, okay? Detonate damages enemies within a 5 meter radius whenever they destroy your drone, which is absolutely why you don't want to give it any extra shields. You want this thing to pop, because the detonation has a base force of 800 newtons, and with this build, we can knock that up to 1000 newtons, which is capable of staggering practically all the mooks in the game, okay? So this will give you your ideal crowd control for those little bastards. Plus, a little bonus to the detonation is that it can detonate tech explosions for you. So if you're ever rolling with a tech team, everyone's going to love seeing your little drone out there. For your next evolution, go ahead and get the shock attack, okay? Now, the Shock Evo also has 1000 newtons force behind it, so this is great for just crowd control. With the basic electrical attack, it can hit up to 2 enemies within 5 meters of each other, and this has a 3-second cooldown like the normal shock attack as well. In fact, all the attacks the combat drone has a 3-second cooldown. But what you need to understand is that this is an additional attack to a combat drone as opposed to upgrading it like the power description states, okay? It's not an upgrade. It's completely independent of the initial zap attack I told you about, which can zap all the basic trooper enemies. And it can only be used when the drone's within like 1.9 meters of its enemy, okay? So if it ever gets within that sort of 2 meter range of the enemy, then it can opt for either going with the initial zap attack or going with your shock attack, okay? If it goes to that shock attack, you can basically stun up phantoms and dragoons and all that good stuff. For the final evolution, they'll go with Chain Lightning, okay? This actually upgrades your basic attack. It modifies the initial zap to jump up to 3 targets within 10 meters of each other. It hits 3 total, not additional targets, as stated. And there's also a little jump delay of half a second. It's really not going to slow you down. It will shock every enemy within 3 seconds. Like I said, that is the cooldown for it. It will not let your shock attack hit up to 3 enemies, okay? Shock will only always hit 2 enemies. This is completely separate. And this is what you want to be rolling with your combat drone, okay? Crowd control. Crowd control is literally the greatest gimmick of the combat drone. You really don't want to be rolling up with something like the rockets, okay? This is garbage. Just as garbage as all those shield and damage evolutions, okay? Because on higher difficulties, your pet powers do not offer enough damage to waste points on, okay? And these rockets are also only capable of staggering your weaker trooper enemies, okay? And it also forces the drone to maintain a 4 meter distance at all times in order to attack, because it will not attack when it's any closer to the enemy. So that will basically render all of the other electrical and explosive abilities completely obsolete. Your next ability then is Incinerate. I recommend just taking this to rank 4 and getting the damage, okay? This is what you'll be using against boss enemies because a lot of those are pretty much unshakable. Your little overload combat drone combo isn't going to really slow them down too much. And Incinerate does nice damage to armor, okay? It deals 75% of its listed damage up front and the remaining 25 over 3 seconds. And that dot's going to prevent some health regeneration and really help you take down those bosses a bit faster. It can also obviously be used for reload cancelling. Then we have the Piece de Resistance, okay? Overload is an amazing ability. This will prevent the enemy's shields regenerating for up to 8 seconds and prime tech bursts on them for up to 5. But most importantly, this stuff just completely tears down shields and barriers. As it states, it is effective against shields, barriers and synthetics, but not as effective against organics. This is because it has a 3 times damage multiplier to shields and barriers, but when it comes to health and armor, it does full damage against synthetic enemies, but only half damage against organics. This is because it has a 0.5 multiplier to organic health and armor, but this can be fixed. Go to rank 4 and get yourself Chain Overload. This will let Overload hit 2 enemies as long as the second is within 8 meters of the one you target, and it will work at 60% strength. Then go ahead and get yourself Neural Shock. It states here that it incapacitates weaker organic enemies for a short duration, for literally the understatement of the century, okay? Yes, it will do that. If the enemy is unprotected, they will drop to their knees when you hit them with overload. But what Neural Shock actually does for you, okay, is it removes the organic penalty, because it doubles the damage overload does to organics. That's all damage. So now it does 100% of its damage to health and armor, and now 600% of its damage to shields and barriers. Okay, Neural Shock is an absolute must for overload. And then finally, to put a bow on this sweet little package, go and get yourself shield damage, which increases the damage to barriers and shields by an additional 100%. This is kinda true, okay? Shield damage doubles overload's multipliers to shields and barriers on synthetics, so that you have a total 600% damage multiplier to them. But it only adds 2/3 of the damage to organic shields and barriers, so it's a bonus 200%. However, you chalk that up with Neural Shock, and organic shields and barriers now take 8 times the damage. So now Overload has become stronger against organic enemies, despite what its original power description says. So you're welcome. That's your powers ready to go then, okay? Because you've got Combat Drone out there shocking up to 3 enemies within 10 meters of each other. You've got Overload shocking another 2 enemies within 8 meters of each other and ripping off their shields. And then you've got Incinerate too to keep armor on the ropes. That's great crowd control, a lot less return fire coming your way, and all the enemy are really softened up and ready to be taken out with some decent weapon fire, right? For Alliance training, get weapon damage at rank 4. You'll want the power damage at rank 5 though, okay? This is going to give Combat Drone that force in Detonate and Shock to stun all of the mooks for you, and then finally get some more weapon damage at rank 6 then, okay? This is really how you're going to take out the enemies. You're going to strip down their defenses and then gun them down with this character. Then you've got enough points to go to rank 4 in fitness and get durability, so that he or she can survive the return fire they do actually receive. If you fancy a human engineer doing more power damage, however, you can do what I do with my female. I actually only take Combat Drone up to rank 4 with her and get the Detonate evolution, so that I can fully spec out Incinerate. In this instance, I'd actually recommend you get the Radius evolution at rank 4. This will let Incinerate hit 2 enemies if they're next to each other, which is great, because Overload hits its enemies individually, so you can actually detonate 2 fire explosions in that instant. And then for rank 5, go ahead and get the Burning damage. This adds a secondary damage over time effect to the power, which is equivalent of 50% of the total damage of Incinerate, which is awesome. And then of course you want to go ahead and get the Armor damage evolution at rank 6. Okay, this will give this a second multiplier to armor of 1.5. There are plenty of weapons available to substitute the crowd control you've lost on Combat Drone. The Venom Shotgun is one particular weapon I'd like to recommend for you. Go ahead and plug in the spare thermal clip and high caliber barrel, although if your Venom is a lower level you might want to replace the clip with the ultralight materials to make the weapon lighter. This weapon will stagger all the mooks for you, okay? It's not because weapons have force of their own, it's because they have a hit reaction chance. They all do. And you know, the chance varies based on where you hit your target. I believe the Disciple is the gun with the highest hit reaction chance in the game. I do believe it's 100%. But you may not have noticed it because of the weapon's terrible accuracy, because that will force it to get reduced all over the place. Because enemies too have their own modifier to the reaction, which gives them a percentage chance of resisting it. Explosive weapons like the Venom, on the other hand, though, have an increased chance of you know, getting a reaction out of the enemy because they hit their entire body. So like a charged shot of the Venom into the feet of Trash Mob will stun them all. And if you go ahead and plug in tech ammo or like incendiary rounds, you can stagger them all, light them all up, and then you can hit them with Overload and chain a bunch of power combos and stuff for just amazing crowd control. Also, the incendiary rounds on the Venom Shotgun will definitely be applied to any boss enemy you come up against, and combine that with Incinerate and your weapon damage will go through the roof. Of course, you can be really boring and spec out of Combat Drone and just get all the health and shield bonuses in your fitness tree for 825 health and shields. This will leave you with a decent electric and fire attack to do power combos with, and absolutely 0 individuality. Let's flash back to Zap. You're going to want to strap in with a Cerberus Harrier. This is the tool for the job, arguably one of the best guns in the game. To keep it that way, make sure you've got the magazine upgrade attached and the extended barrel. Armor-piercing rounds for your ammo bonus will be the bow on a very sweet package here. Alternatively, you can go with incendiary rounds for some more tech explosions. You will want the high-velocity barrel on your Cerberus Harrier, in which case, to keep it strong against armor. Then set yourself up with an assault rifle rail amp, a cyclonic modulator. A number 4 will knock your shields up to 1,450. And then finally, for your gear slot, get the Omni capacitors. This will increase your tech power damage and the number of times you can use them alongside your weapon damage. That's it for the build. Let's check out the gameplay. Okay, here we go. Firebase Ghost on gold versus Geth. GG. For those of you wondering how I got rid of the missiles in the Human Adept video, this is how you normally go about doing it. You switch to your missiles, and then you switch back to your weapon, and during that animation, you perform a heavy melee, which will make them disappear. However, if your melee doesn't cut it, you can go ahead and use a ladder like so. Yeah, just jumping on a ladder while you're switching back to your weapon will end up making your missile launcher invisible, as you can see, or rather can't see. It's purely aesthetic, guys, okay? It doesn't change the way it works. It just means that nobody can see it. But I hope you can see how the combat drone can be cast through walls here. This is very good in just flushing the enemy out of cover and then gunning them down. In fact, I'm going to use said tactic to snipe a kill right off of Manny here, because as Manny's law dictates, he must be trolled at every turn. He'll be alright as long as he gets the assist points. I'll still get him rage mode. In fact, he's going ahead and picking up Ghidorah here, who's playing the beastly Turian Sentinel. I'll have a gameplay for him shortly. Until now, he's just going to be really good for my character. Unlike Myth, who is on a mission here to put the human engineer down. He's gone ahead and picked the Quarian male engineer. One of the most powerful engineers in the game. Actually, one of the most powerful characters in the game, period. Okay, he's not just the most strongest engineer, he absolutely wrecks up the place, but you're about to see how the vanillas keep up, okay? Firstly and foremostly, with combat drone, okay? Combat drone, as I said, can be cast through walls to shock the enemy behind them, okay? So, and that will get every enemy out of cover. If the chain lightning attack doesn't work, the shock attack, which it will use shortly afterwards, will definitely flush any mook out of cover for you. How does it fare at drawing fire, though, you may ask? Unfortunately, the answer is not very well, okay? BioWare gave all pet powers, combat drone included, a very nasty nerf a long time ago. Basically, all your pet powers are incredibly low priority targets to the enemy nowadays. They're really only ever going to attack your pets if they're really the only target in sight, or they're the only target attacking them. As you can see, the rocket troopers fancying a go right now. But this is further to my point, guys. Don't let anyone tell you that they don't draw fire anymore, because they do. The only way you can really get them to do it reliably now, though, is by deploying some misdirection. Okay, you're really going to need to break the enemy's line of sight so that the combat drone is the only thing the enemy can see, or at least be the only thing that is attacking them right now. If your teammates are in the picture, they're just going to go for your teammates, okay? The combat drone's not going to draw fire if anybody is visible in front of them. You can basically break the enemy's line of sight by just going behind a wall and hugging it, okay? Going into hard cover where the enemy can't see you is a surefire way to make sure the enemy lose track of you. And from that position, you can go ahead and cast combat drone, and it should work to full power then. Another little tactic, which has nothing to do with the human engineer, is if you're doing this objective, go ahead and give it to a Krogan. Okay, go pass the pizza on to the Krogan, because if a Krogan says "gimme," you absolutely give it up. Right? They will go ahead and melee to victory for you. That little light melee headbutt has got a nice lunge in it, so that it makes them move a lot faster with their object. Great for us console players, because unlike you PC guys, we don't get to run with the object. So thank you for that, Manny. But no. Back to the human engineer. Combat drone, yeah, it doesn't really draw fire like it should anymore. Unless, of course, you're dealing with the Geth like we are. Or phantoms, actually, from the Cerberus enemy faction, okay? For whatever reason, these type of enemies still consider your pets a high priority, and they will turn and face. In fact, look now. Oh no, never mind. Maybe next time. That Geth Prime just got wrecked. But you know, if I put like a combat drone near a Geth Prime, he's going to turn to attack that almost instantly, and so will Phantoms as well. Thankfully, and I say thankfully sincerely, because those are literally some of the most annoying enemies in the game. Now, if you're the host, the Phantom will laugh, dodge your attacks without even looking at you. But no, and the Geth are an annoying enemy because they use a lot of suppressive fire on you, so it's really good to suppress them, okay? This is another thing that's going to be particularly great with the combat drone and Geth Primes, alright, because Geth Primes are actually not as stable as your other boss enemies on gold, or platinum for that matter, okay? Because a Geth Prime only requires 1,000 force in an attack to actually be staggered by it. So, you know, that's your combat drone's got you covered, okay? If it either shocks him or detonates on him, you will be able to stun that Geth Prime and get some nice damage out on him. All your other enemies, on boss enemies on gold, need like 1,500 newtons to be staggered, so it is a big difference. In fact, even the Ravager enemy needs 1,500 newtons to be staggered. But no, your Geth Prime you can really destroy, okay? Especially if you've got him set up for a power combo, which you absolutely should do. If you've overloaded him or incinerated him, as soon as he destroys your drone, it's going to explode and then detonate that effect for you. I know I said to just use Incinerate on your boss enemies, but obviously I mean when you're dealing with their armor, okay? It makes no sense to incinerate their shields, okay? Because Incinerate only does half damage to shields and barriers. It's got a 0.5 multiplier in that case. So you know, obviously you want to go ahead and use Overload's 6 times multiplier. Help you get something done, unlike Myth here. A tactic we like to use, me and the boys, is to call out a spawn that we're planning on blowing up with a missile to, at the start of a wave to sort of speed it along. And this way, nobody wastes a consumable, but Myth actually takes this as a good opportunity to snipe some kills off you and waste your consumables, which I think he just got both me and Manny there. So kudos to you, Myth, but it's going to take more than that to slow us down. The vanilla human engineer is still a strong character, because obviously if you're overloading the Prime and then he goes ahead and destroys your combat drone, he's going to go ahead and trigger a power combo called a Tech Burst. Tech Bursts are probably the hardest ones to spot because unlike any other power combo, it's not a big explosion. In fact, it just looks like your chain overload, if anything, and you're really only going to see it if there's other enemies nearby to be hit by it, okay? But it is there, it does happen, and Tech Bursts do double damage to shields, which is just great against the Geth enemy faction, considering most of their enemies have got shields. And it's also really amazing for crowd control. Okay, this is giving you even more crowd control because Tech Bursts have the biggest radius of any of the power combos. They get bigger and stronger depending on the difficulty you're on. But you know, on the highest difficulties, a Tech Burst has a 7.5 meters on it, so really awesome crowd control when you're getting a Tech Burst off with your combat drone and overload. Of course, once his shields are down and you hit him with Incinerate, you can go ahead and get him to destroy and he will destroy your combat drone, okay? He's got a cannon in his hand. The drone's going to die, but we want it to die because when that thing goes bang, there's a fire explosion for double damage against armor. Good stuff. And I hope you're noticing all this kind of crowd control we've got outside of our combat drone, or at least as an extension of our combat drone, because this is really why this character is great, okay? It's just, it is about taking the control back. It's really nice to do it to the Geth in particular. One other reason why Incinerate is so good in boss battles, not just because it does better damage to armor than anything else, but because, like the Human Adept's Warp attack, you can cast it over and around cover, okay? So you can basically lay in a couple of shots with your gun, and then when you duck behind cover, then you can throw an Incinerate round it to hit your target still. And, you know, you can use that to reload cancel, so you can pop straight back out then and put some more bullets in. Because that's really how this character works, okay? His powers strip down defenses, softens the enemy up, and then you gun them down with this guy. That's obviously another way you're going to get the enemy staggered as well, okay? Enemies don't just have a particular amount of force to be staggered, they all have damage thresholds as well, which basically means you can stagger them by doing a lot of damage to them very quickly. some enemies in particular, like the Atlas from Cerberus, has a lot of like little armor plating all over his body. Oh, thanks, Manny, for pushing me into the counter there. Has armor plating over his body, and if you break his damage threshold while targeting any of these panels, it will blow them off and cause a spike in damage. But most importantly, you're going to see the stagger reliably every time. Mind you, I say reliably. There is a cooldown on staggering the enemy. Okay, if you just staggered them, you won't be able to stagger them immediately again afterwards. You can't lock up an enemy like that, unfortunately, with any ability in the game. But this is as good as crowd control can get. You might be wondering, oh well, this is all very well and good for gold, but I'm a hardcore platinum player. In platinum, the Geth Prime still isn't that stable. Okay. It's shocking that he's such an unstable enemy, actually. I really would have thought that clumsy Scion would shake easier than he is. I mean, he's just a big cock monster, let's be honest. Big sack on his head and a big floppy arm cannon. But no, even they're more durable. In Platinum, it takes 1,200 force to stagger a Prime and 2,000 newtons to stagger every other boss enemy. Although, actually, no, on Platinum, collectors only take 18,000 newtons to be staggered. But there you go. Now we should probably see the combat drone in action if there wasn't a Krogan there. Krogans make good combat drones too. What can I say? But yeah, so you've got sweet damage with this guy. The Harrier absolutely brings you that sweet damage. Okay, that's just due to its because it hits hard with every round, and it's also got an amazing rate to fire. Okay, so you're just streaming out this good flow of damage with this fully automatic gun here. You literally just you're in and out with every enemy. Literally, you just defense is down, enemy dead. It's literally and it just works so well because the moment you finish off an enemy, you just zap another enemy and shoot him. Then, but of course, the Cerberus Harrier is an ultra rare gun, and I do appreciate that many of you will struggle to get your hands on it. But there are other weapons you can use. As I said, this character is good with weapons. Okay, you want a good weapon on him. If you're starting out today, I'd probably recommend the Predator for him out of all the starter weapons. Although you can get away with the Katana if you've got the crowd control I've got here. When you start unlocking the uncommons, pretty much any of those will do. Literally any uncommon weapon from any category is good on this guy. Honourable mentions go out to the Mattock, which is an amazing little assault rifle if you've got a trigger finger to get good use out of it. And you can also rock something like the Incisor sniper rifle and Raptor sniper rifle for like a semi-automatic and pistol-esque sniper rifle, okay? When it comes to your rare guns, though, you could try something like the Geth Pulse Rifle, okay? The Geth Pulse Rifle's doesn't do great damage, but what it has got is an amazingly large magazine and an incredible rate of fire, which is just excellent for applying an ammo effect, okay? So if you were walking out with tech rounds, you can really like set enemies on fire or freeze them or, you know, electrocute them and all that kind of good stuff with the Geth Pulse Rifle. And then, of course, you can use your other powers to detonate, because Overload and Incinerate do both prime and detonate all tech explosions, which is nice. Also, thing to note is because you can stun enemies with so many of these electrical attacks that we're rocking here, you've also got a really great opportunity to score the extra headshot damage that the Geth Pulse Rifle offers. Okay, the Geth Pulse Rifle increases the Mook headshot multiplier to 3. Okay, so you do get better damage with a headshot on the Geth Pulse Rifle. Another gold assault rifle you could roll out with, though, is something like the Falcon. Okay, that's another explosive weapon. So much like the Falcon, okay, you could use that to just hit a bunch of enemies and prime a bunch of enemies and set off a bunch of power combos as well. Other weapons that are more to like the Harrier gameplay that you're seeing, you could go with something like the Argus or the Revenant. Okay, they do decent damage, but their accuracy is lousy. Okay, you're probably going to need the crowd control that I've got here to make them work, so you can get closer to the enemy. Any of the rare pistols are great, honestly, but you don't need the Acolyte, okay? Your stripping shield's just fine. Honourable mentions to, like, the Suppressor, okay? The Suppressor has the highest Mook headshot multiplier in the game, okay? It will multiplies headshot damage by 4. I know the Executioner Pistols is a good pistol that hits really hard. It's got some problems, connecting with the enemy, but when the enemy isn't moving, that problem kind of dissipates. And also the Arc Pistol, okay, you can get some really nice damage out of that thing thing if you can line up a charged shot, which you can with stunned enemies. In the shotgun category, you could use something like the Growl or the Geth Plasma Shotgun, okay, because these are two particular weapons that don't shoot bullets, shall we say. They shoot a very clear, visible projectile, and these projectile-style weapons almost certainly apply ammo effects, okay, so they're really good for getting power combos going. Damage is all nice too. Growl's also got a sweet headshot multiplier of 3 as well. But of course, for just good damage, you can go with something like the Piranha, the Raider, or the Claymore. Okay, the Claymore works on everything. God bless the Claymore. All your rare snipers will work, okay? Try something like the Keyshock, or the Chrysay, or even the Collector Sniper Rifle. Okay, the Chrysay is going to work very much like, it's just an explosive sniper rifle, so it works very much for like the Falcon, okay, or the Venom for just setting off a bunch of combos for you, or setting up rather. And the Keyshock's another gun with a sweet multiplier if you can line up the shot, okay? When it comes to ultra rares, you could use the Paladin, okay? It's a decent gun, nice and light, so you can get your powers flying out and stuff. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of one of the primes here, because they are a massive pain in the ass. And Scorpion's good, okay, that's a projectile pistol, so that's going to put on ammo effects for you really well too. And all sniper rifles are just generally good at putting on ammo effects, so try something like the Valiant or the Indra for like a pistol-esque or fully automatic sniper rifle, or the Black Widow, okay, just for some sweet damage. And for your SMGs, you could try the Collector SMG. Okay, the Collector SMG is good. It's going to work very similar to how it works on the Human Adept for you. Hurricane's amazing. Okay, the damage on that is sweet. And you could also try the Lancer. Okay, the Lancer is basically, in a way, a more powerful Collector SMG for you. And then there's the Valkyrie Assault Rifle 2, which has got a nice headshot bonus of 3 as well. All of your shotguns are amazing. Your ultra rare shotguns. Okay, you can't go wrong in that category. The Crusader in particular will benefit from this build, because that's another one that's kind of hard to connect with the enemy with. Any ammo bonus is good too. All right, guys, I've gone with a weapon focus. I'm rocking the armor piercing. Well, I say every ammo's good. You don't want to use explosive rounds. They are garbage, and you're not going to need Faceic with all the shield stripping that we've already got. Just make sure that you're ignoring armor enough, okay? If you're going to use like the elemental ammos like Disruptor and Incendiary, like I said before in the build section, you're going to want a high velocity barrel on your Harrier, okay? So that your damage doesn't get less against armor. If you are using a targeting VI for your weapon bonus, just know that the explosive weapons I recommended don't score headshots, okay, so don't waste your time there. And when it comes to your gear slot, oh no, I've jumped the gun here. What about your armor bonus? If you don't have Cyclonics, a power amplifier or power efficiency would probably be your best bet, so that you can just you can cut down the return fire you receive just by killing the enemy faster with your powers, alright? But any armor bonus works as well. This guy's very flexible in that respect, and why you've got to love him. Your gear bonus now, though, okay? Just get whatever power, weapon or shield bonus you deem necessary, okay? Operative package is a good one if you went with a sniper option, or because that gives you sniper damage and tech damage. On engineering kit's probably your best boost of tech damage. I just left a missile there to make sure the primes don't give us trouble, and you're going to see 2 fail rockets there. Who did it? Manny, of course you did. That is the gameplay, guys. I hope it was helpful for you. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and give us a like and a comment if this was good for you, and let's do it again sometime.
No! Harry, no! Don't look at the light!
I can't help it. It's so beautiful.
Hang tight.
Thank you.